It's hot. It's hot as balls out here. It's crazy. And then yesterday it was windy and hot in Chicago, which that made me think of the Dust Bowl, which I need to. mm, I'm gonna read about that. I haven't yet, but you know the Dust Bowl lasted like a long time. Goodness gracious, a lot of people passed away, but it's my understanding that the weather conditions were so bad, like that there was like dust, like windy dust, and I heard it was man-made. But I don't know much about that, and I usually don't talk about stuff that I don't know much about, so I'm gonna stop. Anyway, it's hot. It's very hot. Um, and I missed a day because it was so hot yesterday that I couldn't sleep. So I wasn't able to record yesterday. But I did finish a book, so I'm gonna tell you all about that, and yeah, tell you all about my next book, and um, come up with ways to make more videos and longer videos because I'm like barely making a dent in my credits that I was talking about, and I know I'm like probably at closer to 40 days now. Man, time is just flying past, but I'm gonna keep up with my challenge. Keep trying to, all I can do is push forward and see what I can do, right? Um, so yeah, I have a couple of things. Oh, I mentioned before that, and I just want to reiterate that if I am talking about a book that I haven't finished and then I finish it and don't bring it up again, that's because I don't want to talk about it. It's because, like, I probably did not give it a very high ranking, and it doesn't really matter how many stars I give a book, but um, if I don't want to talk about it, then I'm just not gonna do that. I don't want to badmouth people or authors or books. I don't really want to do that, especially like if I try to read the book, then I definitely don't want to. How you doing? Thank you for coming to my live. Thank you for entering in. But yeah, if I am interested in reading the book, then I hate to come on here and be like it was horrible. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna quietly move along, and then that lets you know that it's probably not it's I'm not gonna say it's not worth your time because you might still like the book. So if you liked what I said about the book, or then by all means, thank you. Then by all means, pick the book up and give it a try yourself. But yeah, I didn't like it, and I'm not gonna badmouth books. But and I also wanted to mention that I was talking about Luster in a previous video. I really liked Luster. Now, again, that's not something that I would think that a lot of people would like, but it was a good time. It was still a good time. I definitely got to a point and I was like, okay, the trope is giving, honestly, is giving bed wench, but hey, you know, I'm not trying to yuck nobody's yum. I couldn't put it down. But I also wanted to mention that Luster is not a romance. Luster is definitely a lit fic. I had called it a romance in like a previous video. Just want to backtrack and say it was more like lit smut, lit fic. Definitely not a romance, but I did recommend it. Um, so this book that I just finished um, the day before last is The Vanishing Half. And I don't know if I read the synopsis to you all, But this was really good. I really liked The Vanishing Half. And me personally, I like passing stories. I like stories about passing. I I wish that more authors would write about passing, especially like researchers, people that really understand the history of passing, not just, pulling stuff out of your imagination. Because I realized with this book, like, I like historical fiction. I love historical fiction, but I think that I'm very particular about the historical fiction that I like, because this historical fiction was believable, and I like the historical sprinkled. So like Kristen Hanna, I read The Women by Kristen Hanna, and the history was sprinkled in the story. You're reading the book. You want to read a good book by a good author. You're every now it's great if the author researches, and you're not expecting the author to be a historian. So, we're gonna give you some grace. Kristen Hanna does an amazing job. It seems like she has like a team of people, maybe like researching her historical pieces. But me, when I'm reading historical fiction, yeah, I want to read a lit fic with some history sprinkled in. I don't want to feel like I'm reading nonfiction with a little bit of with some imagination or some made up parts like that. The book that I did not review, it felt like magical realism. It didn't feel like historical fiction. And magical realism is another thing. Like, I think that what's important for readers though is knowing what you're getting when you get into a book, because I read magical realism earlier when I read Sky Full of Elephants. I knew that was magical realism. But the last book before this one, I didn't think of that as magical realism. I was thinking of it as historical fiction. So when it turned out to be more like a unbelievable, but then also history, fact, um, it turned out to be like all these historical references put together. I I was like, okay, slam the book closed. Like that, it pissed me off. Um, so yeah, I liked the magical realism that I was getting into with Sky Full of Elephants, but that one was way more magical. Sky Full of Elephants was way more magical than realist, obviously, and that one was it was to me it was good until I was I won't say it was good until it wasn't good, because I actually was pretty frustrated the whole time reading that. The main character was, again, pissing me off. I don't want to be pissed off while I'm reading. That's not going for that. So I just said I wasn't gonna do this, bash your book. But I still say that Sky Full of Elephants was a good time. I just was pissed off by that character. So yeah, if I know it's a magical realism when I'm going in, then yeah, I can have a good time. So, which brings me to The Vanishing Half. This is a story about twins who are white passing, and physically they're white passing. They're from a town where a lot of the people are physically white passing. Whether they choose to pass or not, obviously that's up to them. So, in this story, one of them decides to pass, and one of them just decides to do the exact opposite and not pass. So this was a great story, and this okay. That just brings me back to what I was saying, which is I appreciate stories about passing. Passing is something that is, first of all, a drama, but it was a very large part of people's lives in that time period because of, well, because it was so, first of all, yeah, because there was a lot of people who could pass because it was like close enough to the slavery era that there were all these people who were fathered, by white passing people, and then those white passing people went on to father more, and father and mother more white passing people. And then just the realities of life at the time made the stakes so much higher for you to have white skin. Like, if you could choose to like live in your white skin, the stakes were so much higher. Like, you could have an exceedingly different life than if you chose to, remain on the black side of town, basically, or the black side of existence. And so I've always been fascinated with that time period because, on top of the fact that it is so dangerous and precarious, it's secret. I mean, it's these people are living secret lives. So I wish that more people who had like a first-hand account or a second-hand account of those stories would tell them so that we could, just experience it vicariously and just see what was really going on in the minds and the lives of those people. This book did a really good job of imagining what a life like that would be like, and what it would entail. And I actually felt that it was very believable. I actually felt like the author could have used like some source material, some primary sources to, craft the story around. That's how believable I thought it was. Now, of course, when you're talking about skin tone, there it is kind of like that you're right there where stuff becomes believable or not. Like, either you believe it or you don't. And that was the same experience that I had with that last book. Um, but this one, it was well written. It was well written, well crafted. I had a really good time reading The Vanishing Half. Could not put it down. Um, Metaphorically, because it was an audiobook. I immersive read it. So I don't remember if I read the synopsis. I'll do that. It says twins, inseparable as children, ultimately choose to live in two very different worlds, one black and one white. The Veen sisters will always be identical, but after growing up together in a small southern black community and running away at age 16, it's not just the shape of their daily lives that is different as adults, it's everything, including their racial identities. Many years later, one sister lives with her black daughter in the same southern town she once tried to escape. Across the country, the other secretly passes for white, and her white husband knows nothing of her past. Still, although separated by so many miles and just as many lies, the fates of the twins remain intertwined. What will happen when their own daughter's stories lines intersect? Yeah, so this was a good time. Definitely a keeper. I don't know if I've been mentioning that in the other videos, but I'm going to let you know if I'm going to keep the book or not. This one is definitely a keeper. This was one that I got at a library sale for a great price. $3 for a bag of books. Yes, I don't, well, it doesn't have a library sticker on it, but I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know if it was an actual library copy or not. I wonder if it's on here. It doesn't really matter where it came from. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I happened upon it. And I think I had just heard about it because I wouldn't even known that this book was about passing, but I heard the League of Extraordinary Readers mention it in a video about in the segment they were talking about books that have passing storylines in it. So thank you, League of Extraordinary Readers. Great. This was a great find. Very happy about it. Let's see. I had some reactions. When when the one sister called herself being racist, I was like, oh no, bitch, I know you're not about to sit up here and be racist, and your ass is black. But of course, that does happen. But yeah, so I recommend this one. This one is a, this one is a yes. And now the next book I'm gonna take on is Jesmyn Ward, The Fire This Time. And I'm excited about this one. It's gonna be a quick read. The audiobook is like maybe 5 or 6 hours, but it's my first Jesmyn Ward. She wrote the intro, and I was like, okay. People always talk about how impressive her writing is, so very excited. I picked this up because I haven't read a lot of Baldwin, but what I have read is The Fire This Time, The Fire Next Time, The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, and it was so good. It was very memorable. So when I saw this title with this author, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick that up. And it's basically an anthology of short writings from people who have, it says, a new generation speaks about race. The Fire This Time, a new generation speaks about race. So I saw an impressive list in here. Let me make sure that I'm not about to say the wrong thing. But yeah, we have a piece by Isabel Wilkerson, Honoré Fanon Jeffers. She wrote the love songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. Oh, White Rage by Carol Anderson. That sounds familiar. We have Jesmyn Ward, okay. Clint Smith, Kiesi Lehman, Claudia Rankine, and Edwidge Danticat. Those are all the people that I've heard of, and I mean, that's an impressive list of contributors. So I started this. I'm gonna finish it in a few hours, and I might just come back on here since I need to be making more videos. I might just come right back on here and tell you about this one because I need to be making more videos. The last thing I want to mention to you all, because since it's so hot, and I know it's hot where you guys are too, I have one of those air conditioners that have the hose, and the hose goes outside. Like, you have to put the AC right. It's a stand-up AC. It's right next to the window, and and you put the hose outside, and that you have to, because like the hottest air comes out of that hose, so it has to feed outside. That hose was falling apart, and I was like, oh my gosh, what the hell? I didn't know what I was gonna do, but thankfully I had some of this. Get you some of this. I don't know what it's called. It says Nashua on the inside. It's some kind of like industrial metal tape. This I was able to repair that hose and like in all the places where it was cracking, and it's been working like a charm since then. And it was like really fragile, brittle plastic, so I really didn't know how I was gonna. I thought I was gonna have to buy a new hose, and I just was like, let me go. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to go to the hardware store and just try to find something that looks like the same type of hose. But thankfully, I was like, let me see if this stuff works. And it's basically tape. I mean, it's a roll of tape, but it's like metal tape, and it's really sticky and it's really flexible. Saved my life. That air conditioner has been working like a charm ever since. So that's a dope hack, especially if you're like me and you don't know what the hell you're doing and you're just trying to get through every day, spending as little money as possible. Now, again, I don't know how expensive this is because it's been a while. I just came across it, but yeah, the the fact that it worked so well, I definitely think it's worth it. And later on, I was driving down the street and I saw a house that didn't have no siding on it. That they were like putting the siding up, so they have that paper with the names on it, and it's like underneath the siding of the house. And what did I see around the windows and around certain parts of the scenes of that paper? This reflective metallic tape. So I showed my son, I'm like, see, now it's good because they're using it to put together houses. So just a little tip, if you're out here like me trying to survive and stay cool. I'm sorry if you hear the fans going. It's hot, like I said. And yeah, y'all stay cool out there. Take your clothes off. Get you curl up in the corner with a good book and a fan, and happy reading.